Well, hello and welcome to A Film a Day Award Season 2023 with me, Jordan Woodley. After several months and 19 videos, a written BAFTA predictions video, we have finally reached the end of the awards season and the culmination with the 95th Academy Awards. This video will go through each category and run through the nominations, and from each I will talk about which I think will be my prediction for which I think will be the winner, but I might also refer to films that would be my personal choice for winners, even if I don't think practically they are going to be, and I will reason through those exceptions as we go through. There are certain categories that I cannot talk about because the honest truth is I didn't see enough of the films, and those ones I will just very quickly talk about here. These include Best Feature Short Film, Best Animated Short Film, Best Documentary Short Film, Best Documentary, and Best Film Not in the English Language. Unfortunately, the honest truth is I haven't seen most of these categories and I don't feel confident to be able to talk about them. The only one in which I can say I have any sort of prediction for would probably be the animated documentary, which I am fairly confident will the film The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse is very likely to win, which is a film I did see, and from what I've read and experienced, it does seem like that is the general consensus is that film will probably win that category. But again, that's extremely speculative, and broadly speaking, I can't speak to any of these categories for that reason. Going forwards, I'll go through each category one by one, from the technicals through the performance through to Best Picture. Run through each nominee and then talk about them category by category. Now, I will be doing this with the help of my producer wife Helen, who is currently looking through the list. She will read out each nominee and then I'll talk through that particular category. So let's begin.
Okay, the first category is Best Sound. Nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun: Maverick.
This should, when it comes to the technicals, it should be fairly clear and straightforward which wins. You tend to get a sense of a certain film has tends to be one or maybe two, depending on the nature of the technical categories. But you tend to see a hot runner leading that category. I will say that my predictions have somewhat been affected by the BAFTA wins, because my instincts tell me for this category that Top Gun Maverick is likely to be the front runner. In terms of sound design, it's the one that feels like it's the use of creating a soundscape, creating an audio piece to accompany the visuals feels the most comprehensive. That being said, All Quiet on the Western Front was the sleeper hit that dominated the BAFTAs. And there is a lot to be said about All Quiet on the Western Front. In my video about it, I did throw it some acknowledgement, but as I said at the time, it wasn't a film that grabbed me. That being said, if there is a film that I think could take this category, it could be that one. I still think Top Gun Maverick will lead because I do think Top Gun Maverick is a sound design feat. In terms of its structure overall, and again, you can watch my Top Gun Maverick video to talk about the technicals of why it is as extraordinary as it is. But as I say, All Quiet is a very well respected film. It does do some interesting things with sound and could be could come as a sleeper hit.
Yeah. Best Original Score. All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and The Fabelmans.
Score is a difficult one for this category. The one thing I'm quite surprised at is that Tar didn't even get a nomination. Despite the fact that Tar, even though it is about orchestral music, doesn't have a huge amount of... its score isn't the most important thing about the film. But the fact that it is so much about orchestral music and the relationship with the main character to orchestral music, it is a surprise it did not... it didn't get a nomination at least. This is a tricky one. I actually genuinely feel like to me, there isn't any particular one that really stands out. I'm tempted to go with All Quiet and actually definitively go with All Quiet on this, because there are some unusual and interesting things that All Quiet on the Western Front does with its score, and there is something unusual. And even watching it, as I noted how the score really impacted the storytelling. So I'm going to err with All Quiet. I think there's a possibility of maybe Fabelmans, but I think I'm fairly confident All Quiet will take this.
Best Makeup and Hairstyling. All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, and The Whale.
I think people are expecting The Whale because of the nature of the work that was done. But I do think that, and I'll get into this when we get to Best Actor, I think The Whale has started to really lose momentum. My instincts with this are to go with Elvis. Elvis feels to me like the one that really, when it comes to that side of period storytelling, in terms of, the colourfulness of Baz Luhrmann, his theatrical sensibilities, it feels to me like Elvis will lead this category.
Best Costume Design. Babylon, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris.
Again, I do think Elvis is a strong contender for this. And I think sometimes these things are more about the film and the culture around the film than it is about winning that particular category. Because unusually, I do think something like Black Panther Wakanda Forever, or even Babylon, a film which is very mixed in people's responses to it. If anything, if Babylon could win anything, I mean, it is one of the only categories, if the only category it's nominated for, this could be it, because it does have really good period costume design. But I don't think the fact that Babylon isn't a particularly well-regarded film, Black Panther maybe, but I'm still not entirely sure. I still think Elvis leads in this regard.
Best Visual Effects. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Batman, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and Top Gun: Maverick.
As I say, on a technical level, I think sometimes a film will lead definitively certain technical categories because it's about feats and technical feats. And this is definitely Avatar's category because, as I said in my Avatar The Way of Water review, despite my misgivings about the film narratively, I do think in terms of its visuals, it is a feast for the eyes. And so therefore, this is definitely going to steal this category, no competition.
Best Production Design. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans.
Production design is an interesting one. And this is a one which actually I think I would struggle to confidently give a lead to. Again, Elvis could take this. This could be an opportunity for The Fabelmans. Again, period dramas really do tend to get quite favoured in these sorts of categories because of the period accuracy work, because of the effort that goes into recreating a time and a place and a certain sensibility. I possibly think Elvis, maybe Avatar, maybe, but I do think Elvis probably leads this.
Best Film Editing. The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick.
I'm desperate for Tar to win something. I would love it if Tar won Best Editing. I think there is something about artistic and considered, and Tar is a very carefully made film. And if it was up to me, Tar would win the Best Editing. I do wonder if this is the first case of Everything Everywhere All at Once because of the frenetic energy of it and the work that goes into it. I feel like Best Editing may go there. Again, this is quite a difficult category because I'm thinking about Top Gun Maverick, and again, I'm thinking it's probably a two-horse race between Everything Everywhere and Top Gun Maverick, with possibly Tar coming in, but again, I don't know if that's personal bias. I think my instincts say Everything Everywhere All at Once will probably take this category.
Best Cinematography, All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicle of a Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar.
I will immediately say that Bardo and Empire of Light are two films that I haven't seen, so I can't speak to them in relation to this. As I said, All Quiet has very much changed my expectations, my predictions, because of its role within the British Academy Awards, how it really changed. How much accolades it got from that will have an impact on this, and so therefore I think All Quiet to its respect, it really, this is possibly a film where the cinematography was beautifully constructed. It really does paint beautiful landscapes. This and Banshees are two films that I've talked about previously that I think do create exceptional visual landscapes, but I do think this is an All Quiet on the Western Front win.
Best Original Screenplay, Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness.
Best Original Screenplay is a difficult one to judge. Just simply, this is a very strong category. I do feel, and again, this is bias on my part, really, but I would love Banshees to win this. I think Banshees isn't going to get, it didn't get the accolades. It swept at the BAFTAs, but I feel like it could have done even better. And I don't think it's going to get a great deal here with the Oscars. So therefore, it would be nice to see Banshees win this. I'm still not entirely confident it will, but I do think this is a wish category that if there's any film that possibly could do with winning this, it would be Banshees.
Best Adapted Screenplay, All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
Now this is a case where I absolutely have my wish fulfillment. I would want this to win. It won't win, which is Living. I love Living. I think it's one of the most beautiful films that I've seen in recent months, maybe years. And I would love Living to win this. I don't think it will. I really, really don't think it will. It's tricky. Again, I feel like perhaps All Quiet on the Western Front, but then I'm not confident. Can I get a read on those categories again?
Best Adapted, All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion: A Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking.
Women Talking. Now, this is a film I saw. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a video on because of the timing of it. I do wonder, maybe Women Talking would be a great win for that, because I think in terms of scripting, it's a very strong film. and it would be great to see that win. Like I said, Living would be my personal first choice. I don't think Living will get this. My instincts say maybe Women Talking. This is a great... If it's going to get one, Women Talking would... Best adapted screenplay, Women Talking, this would be a great place for it to win. So I'm going to lean into Women Talking.
Best Supporting Actress. Angela Bassett from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Hong Chow from The Whale. Kerry Condon, Banshees of Inisherin. Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Stephanie Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
This is an interesting one because I think the conversation around it changed quite significantly. I think people were expecting Angela Bassett to... early reports suggested Angela Bassett would win this, and it is a great opportunity for her to win. She has a storied career. It's a very strong role. It would be interesting to see, you know, Wakanda Forever. Unfortunately, I as I said, to me, Wakanda Forever doesn't have the same momentum that the original Black Panther did. But at this point, there is this conversation that maybe Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'm going to lean into this, that Jamie Lee Curtis does feel like, and again, this is, you know, based on the buzz rather than actually looking at each performance, but the conversation, because all of these are very strong. All of these are very strong for supporting actress, and I don't think there is a clear front runner. But I do think this might be an opportunity for Jamie Lee Curtis to win this. And so I'm going to back Jamie Lee Curtis to win this. Maybe Angela Bassett could also potentially come in and take it. As much as Kerry Condon did win the BAFTA, did give a strong performance, I just don't feel like it's going in that direction. I'm willing to be proven wrong. I love Banshees. But I think Jamie Lee Curtis or Angela Bassett are probably two of the more likely contenders.
Best Supporting Actor. Brendan Gleeson from The Banshees of Inisherin. Brian Tyree Henry from Causeway. Judd Hirsch from The Fabelmans. Barry Keoghan from Banshees of Inisherin. And Ke-Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I will again say that I haven't seen Causeway, so I that's the only one of this category I can't speak to. I think it's almost a done deal that Ke-Huy Quan is going to win. There's this... I think it's a really good role in a phenomenal film that, frankly, no one before it was released was expecting to really get this conversation around it, and now has just taken by storm film culture. It would be great to see Ke-Huy Quan go on stage, claim this, you know, be able to stand in front of, you know, people who he's worked with 20, 30 years ago and take this away. And I think it's almost a done deal. Possibly Barry Keoghan, because he won the BAFTA. It is a very good performance. Again, it would be good to see Banshees win some things. I'm just not sure anymore that Banshees has that... I don't know, I feel like it's fallen off to some degree, and I'm not sure. I'm finding it harder to judge where it will pick up in the Oscars. I'm still willing to sort of say that's a second choice for me, but I do think Ke-Huy Quan is very likely to win supporting actor.
Best Lead Actress. Kate Blanchett in Tar. Ana de Armas from Blonde. Andrea Risborough from To Leslie. Michelle Williams from The Fabelmans. And Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I have said from day one, this is a two-horse race. This has always been a two-horse race. Again, full disclosure, I haven't seen To Leslie. The conversation on To Leslie is very controversial right now, and I would be startled to see it win. Not because of quality, because I cannot speak to quality, but just because of the controversy surrounding it. It's the nature of the controversy and why it's a contender in this category. Another YouTuber called Dan Merle does a very good video that examines the conversation around To Leslie's nomination, how it got nominated, why it's... both sides of the argument for why its nomination is why it's there, why the films that possibly could have been in its place, but also the reason that it did get nominated. But I just don't see it winning. I've always said, day one, 2-horse race. This is between Michelle Yeoh and Cate Blanchett. I am really not sure at this point. I was fairly confident Michelle Yeoh was going to take this. I personally, and this is exceptionally personal opinion, this is not, this because it is such a close race. I think Cate Blanchett was phenomenal in Tar, and I think Tar, it would be great to see her win for Tar because Tar is such an exceptional film. But then Everything Ever All at Once is a unique film. There is nothing like Everything Ever All at Once, and Michelle Yeoh grounds that film. I've talked about my feelings about it in my video that looked at Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I cannot not acknowledge and respect the fact that something so ambitious, so creative was made, and that Michelle Yeoh managed to lead this extraordinary film. And so I'm going to back Michelle Yeoh. It would be great to see. It'd be great to see, and I think that's almost, that would be a great moment in the Oscars. But then we've had potential great moments before, which have been snubbed. But this is the one where it would be phenomenal to see her win.
Best lead actor: Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser, The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nighy for Living.
Again, disclosure, I haven't seen Aftersun. I regret that because I've heard such amazing things about it, but it is my one that I haven't seen. It's interesting because there was a point in which universally it was going to be Brendan Fraser for The Whale. It was just given. There was almost no other conversation other than Brendan Fraser, maybe Colin Farrell, but Brendan Fraser was strong contender. This is his time. Strangely, we've started to see it go another way because Elvis really has started to come up and people are talking about Austin Butler, and there is a really strong chance that it could be the one that sneaks up and takes it. I'm not sure how I feel about that because I think Elvis is a great film. I am a huge Baz Luhrmann fan, and I think Austin Butler gives a tremendous performance. But it's not, I don't know, I feel on several degrees that I'm not entirely sure I would be happy with that win. I wouldn't hate it, but I just feel like it's not, I'm not sure where I land with that. And I think it would be great for Brendan Fraser to win that. I don't think The Whale is a great film. I think it's quite messy in places. I have issues with it. I talked about that at length. But I'm not sure now. I think he could still win it, Brendan Fraser. But I'm wondering now if Austin Butler, there is a strong chance that Austin Butler could come in and take it from him. Personal note, I would love it if Bill Nighy came in just as a sleeper hit. Took it because I think for Bill Nighy this is a career performance. I think it is a phenomenal film. It's never going to happen, but it would be amazing to see. I do still think there's enough momentum behind Brendan Fraser. I do still think he could take it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Butler comes in because I'm getting that sense that and especially the win for the BAFTA, it's looking like Austin Butler could just manage to pip him on that.
Best Director: Martin McDonagh for Banshees of Inisherin, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness.
I haven't seen Triangle of Sadness, so I can't speak to that. I personally, if I could sit down and look at them, and I think in terms of directing, in terms of realization of vision, part of me would wish it would be Tar. It would be exceptional because I think Tar is just, there's something about it. And it's not an extraordinary film. It is insofar as I think that in terms of craftsmanship it is, in terms of storytelling, in terms of performance, but it's not doing something completely left field, whereas something like Everything Everywhere All at Once is. But I would love it if Tar one, but I don't think that's the case. I am wondering at this stage, the Fabelmans, I haven't given a lot of attention to the Fabelmans across this, but I am wondering, and I do wonder if this is more a career acknowledgement than it is about the film itself, because the film is great, but this is a very strong category. I do wonder if Steven Spielberg could take it. And again, Everything Ever All at Once, the ambition, the creativity, the Daniels. This is an exceptionally difficult category to call. I would say, like I said, Tar is more a personal choice, so I'm going to put that aside, and I'm going to say it's between the Daniels and Steven Spielberg. And I'm going to say between them, probably the Daniels, I think, just because of Everything Ever All at Once and what it's set out for, and where it, the realization of so much genre and storytelling. I think there is something about Everything Ever All at Once that I think it will take the Best Director. And finally, Best Picture.
All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking.
It's very hard to talk about this because there are so many films in this category that it's almost worth going through them and knocking some out. As much as I really enjoy Women Talking, it's not likely to win. As much as I think Steven Spielberg did do an extraordinary representation of his own semi-autobiographical experience, I don't see The Fabelmans winning. I think, okay, looking at this, really thinking about it, we're looking at, there was a time when I thought Banshees was a really strong contender for this. Now I'm not so sure. All Quiet, I didn't at the time think so, but because of its BAFTA win, because of what it represents, because of people's respect for the classical war film, because of the story it's telling, because of its feats in cinematography and storytelling, I'm now wondering if that has a much stronger position. Top Gun Maverick does feel like, if there was a time, as I said in my video on Top Gun Maverick, this film did something extraordinary. It was, to some degree, a saviour of cinema. And I know that could be considered hyperbolic, but at a time when people weren't sure whether they were going to go back to the theatre, Marvel was trying to, was consistently putting out content that was doing okay. We had Top Gun Maverick, and that came in, and that as a film that no one particularly was asking for, came in. It was extremely well received, and it got people back into the cinema, and that has to be acknowledged and respected. And so therefore I have to at least bring it into the conversation. Similar with Avatar. Like I said, I'm not sure personally, I don't rate it in the same way that other people, but I have to respect its achievement in terms of the same thing, bringing people back into the theatre, and its ambition and its creative world building. It has to be considered. And then we've got Everything Ever All at Once, which is this extraordinary, I don't want to call it an underdog, because as soon as the film came out, people were just blown away, and immediately people were putting it in awards contention, immediately from when it came out. And I think that's where the battle really is. I mean, again, Elvis could come in and also steal it, but I don't see it with Elvis. I really don't. I would be quite surprised. So in that respect, we are down to 5, really, which is Banshees, All Quiet, Top Gun, Avatar, and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this is a tricky one to call, because the honest truth is, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once feels like it still should lead this. I still think there's, like I said, there's enough momentum behind it. If supporting actor, lead actress, directors. I feel like there's enough of a desire to see Everything Everywhere All at Once win, but I'm just not entirely sure. I have real doubts about it. I'm not entirely sure. I really don't think Banshees will win. I think the All Quiet knock of Banshees suggests that I'm not sure that it is going to get that. So if it wasn't going to win a BAFTA Best Picture, I don't think it's going to win a Best Oscar Picture. I'm significantly less sure. So really, and if we're looking at Avatar and Top Gun, I think Top Gun is the more likely of the two, which really brings us down to Top Gun, Everything, and All Quiet. And I really think, honest truth, I really think Everything Everywhere All at Once will win, possibly should win, and I don't know if it's one I absolutely would want to win, but I think there's something there that makes me think, wouldn't it be great if it would win? But then I think about All Quiet on the Western Front and the critical relationship, and I think I can now see it winning because of the BAFTA win, and I think that's where I'm doubtful. And similar with Top Gun, I think there is a desire, that is the People's Choice win, and I think but then the People's Choice win is very, very seldom the one that actually wins. So in summary, I do think Everything Everywhere All at Once is still my front runner to win. Very closely followed by All Quiet on the Western Front. Very closely followed by Top Gun. Behind that, Avatar, and behind that, Banshees. I think that's where I stand. So I do think Everything Everywhere All at Once will take Best Picture. And I think that's it. So, the ceremony will begin at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And of course, that's about midnight here. And I guess there's not much more else to say. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for following this series. Most of the films that I've discussed are in individual videos if you're interested in deeper conversations about those specific films. I've really enjoyed doing this mini series and being back to do these videos. I might do some videos throughout the year for whatever reason, but this is it for now. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.